This is our new Veterans Memorial. We needed to do something with the Flag Plaza at Buck Thomas Park, so we decided to rename this Veterans Memorial Park and put the memorial right at the entry to the park where it'd be the focal point of the park.
I was in the United States Navy, went in 1951, came out in 1954.
From September 1943. Once a Marine, always a Marine.
I went in the service in 1960. I was there in 61, 62.
It's a beautiful, symbolic representation of what our men and women of the past have done who have served us overseas, and it's just, it means a lot to come see this. And if you come see it in the daytime, you got to come back and see it at night because the lights on it reflect, you know, just a totally different image of the memorial.
I hope they take away in their hearts a feeling of freedom that this here represents. That the men gave their lives for freedom, for them to be free to do what they do today. Hook flags.
That's exceptional for communities to do this, especially for those who have fallen and their families, if their families would realize what the community's doing for them, you know, because I think it's great. When I came out of Vietnam, it was all quiet. There were no bands, there were no, in fact, it was just the opposite.
You feel very appreciated when you see something like this for veterans and those serving. So it's an honor.
Yes, it is, very much so. Because it's one thing to have everybody, you know, come up to you in Walmart or wherever you happen to be in uniform and take the time out of their day to say thank you.
Yeah.
And you see that all the time. But it's another thing to come out and see people who have actually took the time and the effort to put together a memorial of this nature, which is a nice outward and permanent sign of that support.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Bill and I are both Vietnam veterans, and if anybody got a raw deal, you know, from their country and the attitude of their country, it was the Vietnam veterans. And so I'm very glad that our communities are starting to take notice of the veterans' issues and to put these things together.
Thank you for joining us here today as we pay a very special tribute to the men and women who have died so that we may live. For you see, it's that simple. They died so that we may live. But nothing about war is ever simple. Nothing about long months of separation is ever simple. Nothing about the uncertainty of a loved one's safety is ever simple. And most importantly, nothing about losing a loved one is ever simple. So I understand the hunger for healing, but each day in America, and too often here in Moore, Oklahoma, we bury veterans who have served our country in faraway places such as the beaches of Normandy and Mogadishu, Vietnam, and Afghanistan. These heroes died without complaining. These heroes sacrificed their lives in the name of duty, honor, and country, our country. This memorial isn't about death and sadness. It's about life and love, hope and healing. There's a peacefulness and a calm here as we gaze into the obelisk and we see our own reflections. We've been very, very, very focused on acknowledging and appreciating all branches of the military, all families, everything that's been done without focusing on any one event or any one war or any one person or any one branch of the military. It takes all of them to keep us safe. It takes the Air Force in the air, the Navy in the sea, the Army on land, and the Marines and the Coast Guard as well. So it takes everybody to keep us safe.
We actually had a few people complain because we spent taxpayer dollars on this, and my comment was to them, if it weren't for the veterans here, we wouldn't be using dollars. So I'm very proud of this. This is a great honor to be here today.
You know, the great historian Stephen Ambrose, who wrote Band of Brothers and D-Day, wrote a wonderful biography of Dwight Eisenhower, was once asked, who's the greatest American in the 20th century, greatest person in the 20th century? He said the American GI, because he brought more freedom to more people and more security than anybody else in the history of the world. And that's true. And that was done by ordinary Americans. I can't tell you, Glenn, how proud I am of you and the city of Moore and all our people here for doing this and making sure that sacrifice is always recognized, is always remembered, and is always treasured. And we have Americans doing it today in tough places all over the world. And they're every bit the patriots that their fathers and their grandfathers and mothers were. They do it for the right reasons, and they do it to defend our country, but also not just so we can live, but so we can live in a certain way as a free people, and that so other people around the world enjoy that blessing. I don't know of anybody more deserving of praise from people all over the world, not just Americans, than American service people for what they do. So thank you. It's an honor for me to get to participate in this.
I think any veteran needs to be acknowledged, and this is one way the city has acknowledged all the veterans and their husbands, wives, children, and everybody who has passed away due to a conflict.
Before we present the tablets on the back wall, they are in order by date and placement. June the 14th on the left, and you may have to stand, feel free to turn your chair if you need to. The United States Army was established on June the 14th, 1775. A few months later, October the 13th, 1775, that same year, the United States Navy was established. The next month, November the 10th, same year, 1775, United States Marines was established. And it took another 15 years. August the 4th, 1790, the United States Coast Guard was established. No, and I haven't left them all out. We've got one more, but if you stop and think, back in the 1700s, folks, only the birds flew, okay? So, September the 18th, 1947, the United States Air Force was established.
At this time, Jimmy and we would like for you to read along with us. The words are in your program, bottom right-hand side. We'll read them slow.
May this hallowed ground honor the sacrifice of America's finest veterans, civilians, and their families, past, present, and future. We will never forget.
I did have one gentleman that I'll never forget. He's lived in this community 25 years. And the time he called me, he had just came down Shields, where we just erected about a year ago the 75-foot American flag. And I don't know his name. I couldn't tell you his name. He didn't know me, but he said, I just wanted to tell somebody how proud I am to be a citizen of Moore. After seeing the Veterans Memorial that's under construction and this American flag on Shields, he said, I'm proud to say I'm from Moore, Oklahoma.